You like that?
Hello, hello, hello. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Villain Report, where we don't sugarcoat a damn thing. I am the 313 villain, Russell Wayne, the UDFA, the undrafted free agent of sports podcasting, the unwanted, the unfiltered, the unapologetic voice of the fan base that bleeds Honolulu blue. It's Throwback Thursday, where we're going to crack open the archives and relive some of the wars that were built in Honolulu blue DNA, the NFC Central. So I am the UDFA, the 313. I'm the Tom Kennedy, so to speak. And today we're going to dive in deep to a rivalry that once defined the black and blue division, the Detroit Lions versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. From the Silver Dome to Raymond James, from Barry Sanders highlight reels to Jared Goff playoff revenge, the two teams have traded haymakers for nearly 5 decades. We're talking about battles that shaped eras, 400-yard explosions, shutouts that silenced stadiums, and playoff heartbreaks that still sting to this day. So buckle up, Lions Nation. We're traveling through the timeline, villain style, from Barry to Goff, from pain to payback. And this episode right here is brought to you by Fanatics.com. That's right. If you bleed the Honolulu blue, or you're rocking with the 313, then you need to gear up like the real one over at Fanatics, our official merch partner. I'm talking Lions jerseys, blackout hoodies, throwback Tigers gear, WWE gear, Red Wings drip so icy it should come with a Zamboni. So here's what you do. You click that link there in the comments right there and save up to 25% off of your order. Every click supports the channel, the page, and lets the world know that the Detroit fans do it bigger and they do it better. The Villain Squad don't do knockoffs. We do official. We do Fanatics. So get yours. That's right. Thank you for your support, the ones that are out there right there. If you are a fan of Detroit sports, I'm offering you a chance to connect with me. Connect with me on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, wherever you scroll, the villain rolls right there. And if you're a fan of Detroit sports, then connect with me. Liking, commenting, and sharing, all of that stuff helps us reach more football fans. And that's what we love to do on here. I'm just a fan with the microphone. That's all. And here, we preach faith, family, and then football. We use football. Like when we lose, we don't let it change us because we put our faith and our family first. And then football. Use football. Don't let football use you. And welcome. Welcome, my friends. Welcome, my family. The Villain family. The 313 Villain Report family right there with Rick C.
You just made the list!
With Davies in the house.
You just made the list!
And there's Tyler. What's up?
You like that? You like that?
Good morning, Paul Jones in the house.
You just made the list!
Bear Down Mike is in the house.
You just made the list!
Mark Orlando.
You like that?
I love that. Bear Down Mike chimes in just out of nowhere, just we're gonna lose. I love the troll. Didn't even say hello to me. Just comes right in with the insult. Haven't seen him in like 6 months, and boom, we're gonna lose. We're gonna lose 2 in a row. All right, okay. Let me see if I can. I wanted to share because I think I'm a fan of Baby Stone Cold, and I don't know if you've seen Baby Stone Cold yet, but I want to get Baby Stone Cold all queued up right here. For a second here while I get this thing queued up for you guys, because it is time. you know, you want to talk about this game, and couldn't get the actual Stone Cold Steve Austin, but I had my Terminator friend John Connor went back in time, and we got some Stone Cold Steve Austin thoughts on what the game is going to be like this week.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the #1 team in the NFC right now, and they're coming in red hot behind a rejuvenated Baker Mayfield. Monday Night Football just got personal because the Detroit Lions are rolling into a heavyweight showdown with playoff implications written all over it. This isn't the same Baker from Cleveland. He's playing smart, confident, and surrounded by a defense that's flat out nasty. Meanwhile, the Lions are looking to bounce back and remind the league who the real dogs of the NFC are. Are the Bucs for real or just hot early? Drop your thoughts below, and that's the bottom line because Baby Stone Cold says so. The Tampa...
There you go. Well, that's the bottom line because Baby Stone Cold says so. I hope that you guys could hear that. Yeah, tell me you guys could hear that. Did you guys hear Baby Stone Cold? Baby Stone Cold telling everybody how it is. Tell me you heard Baby Stone Cold. Drop that into the comment. What do you think of Baby Stone Cold? I found a nice little tool, and I'm having fun creating content for the Detroit Lions. And it's not for them, but I like being creative right here, and I found a nice little tool that I can combine my love of wrestling,
Acknowledge me,
and my love of football all into one. And I got some great ones that I've been working on. And I'm not even allowed to divulge some of these quite yet. And I made one yesterday with baby Ric Flair. And when that Thanksgiving game comes, we're going to unleash it. Baby Stone Cold is wise beyond his years. And tell me who you would like to hear. I mean, to break down these games, man, I'm going to have my time machine with my friend John Connor. And he's going to go back in time, and he's going to interview some of these baby legends from the wrestling. So let me know who you would like to have John Connor use his Terminator machine to go back in time and interview. Who do you want? But what I wanted to do today was to go back in time a little bit right here, because the history of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Lions. And, this is something brand new here. Throwback Thursday. We're going to crack open the archives and relive some of the wars that built the Honolulu Blue DNA. From the Silver Dome, Raymond James And, we got some stuff that happened recently. This is turning into like a little bit of a rivalry right here. So, got some games here. To go back and see if you guys remember some of these. So, December 23rd, 1995. Detroit was pure fire. Barry Sanders ran wild 125 yards and 2 TDs. Scott Mitchell dropped 2 more through the air, and Herman Moore hit the century mark in receiving. The Lions outgained Tampa Bay by almost 200 yards, picked off Trent Dilfer. Remember that? Old school domination, speed, swagger. Lions won that one 37-10. The old Central. Love it, man. 1996, the Lions shut the Buccaneers out. The next year, Barry piled up, Barry Sanders, 130 yards. Tampa Bay wasn't really, really good. It's like if you're a new football fan, you don't even really remember that. Because Tampa Bay's it seems like they've been good forever, right? Some of those teams. I remember when New England was bad. I remember when Tampa Bay was bad, and this was that era. So fast forward a couple years, and the rivalry got its first taste of postseason heartbreak. We move up to December 28th, 1997, NFC wild card. The Buccaneers come in, embarrass the Lions. Playoff pain. Tampa took Detroit's lunch money. Mike Allstott bulldozed for 2 scores. Trent Dilfer managed the game. Barry Sanders bottled up for just 65 yards. The Lions' offense sputtered. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. And the rivalry has a bunch of scars. The Lions were, they don't have a lot of good records against teams. September 9th, 1990. Buccaneers 38, Lions 21. Vinny Testaverde lit us up. Painful. Game 6 I have on the list right here. October 15th, 2023. This is the Dan Campbell regime. Jump ahead. Same matchup. Different monster. Goff lit up Tampa Bay. 353 yards. 2 touchdowns. And then we go to the divisional playoff game. Lions 31-23. The famous Barnes interception. Sealing the deal. And then last year, fast forward, September 15th, 2024, Tampa Bay got their revenge on us. Tampa Bay got the revenge. So now here we are, heading into the Monday Night Football game. The Monday Night Football game. Trying to get that revenge. Whose revenge is it? The Lions need revenge? They need revenge? It's such an interesting matchup. I did see Bear Down Mike bring up the point that we have an injured secondary. We might not even have Kirby Joseph, and we know we're not going to have Brian Branch. And they got a bunch of injured wide receivers. I believe that Mike Evans is going to go in this game. But Bucky Irving, I don't know if they're going to have him back. So it's interesting that the injuries kind of cancel each other out, in my opinion. You got a Bucs team that still plays really, really good defense. So it'll be a very good challenge for the Lions offense. And ultimately, I think that that's where the Lions are going to win the game. Our defense versus their offense, I think they'll be able to score on us. But I think it's our offense. They're going to go out there and try to establish their brand. They're going to go out there and, they just got held to 17 points. It's not sitting real well. And we have the kind of guys in Detroit that come back really well after a loss. You control all you want, but there's not a lot of evidence of Dan Campbell losing 2 in a row. He's built a culture. There's a certain demeanor. I think Aleem McNeil's, he's pretty fired up to come back. The last time, even in a losing effort, Aiden Hutchinson had his way with Tampa Bay's offensive line, no matter where he lined up. I think he had like 5 sacks in the last game. So, this matchup goes way back, I'm going to get better at my deliveries on the Throwback Thursdays. But, going back in time, this rivalry goes way back. We used to be in the same division with these guys. I don't know if that's new information for any of you. Used to be the Central. And for a while there, it was crazy when the Lions hadn't won the division in all those years. The Lions hadn't won the division in so long that Tampa Bay had won the Central Division, the division that the Lions used to be in more recently. That's how embarrassing the Lions franchise was for a long time. So when the trolls come in and they say, hey, you guys have only been relevant for like 2 years, calm down. I'm not going to calm down. Been relevant for like 2 years. I'm fired up. I don't know how long it's going to last. What happens if we go into another 30-year downspin? What? I'm supposed to sit up here and poo-poo and calm down? No, the team's good. I don't get scared with any type of the injury stuff doesn't make me scared at all. Like, as bad as people think that it is right now, it's not as bad as it was last year. We've dealt with worse. All of the guys that we're going to have play, they at least the starters were there for training camp. Last year it was scary. They were pulling in guys off the street. Trying to get them ready in an instant. That's some scary stuff. At least these guys have been around, all the secondary guys that are injured. It's like I was saying earlier in the season, it's like it's not going to be as bad as last year. It can't. It's already proven that not to be. We're starting to get some guys back, as a matter of fact. 23 injured reserve guys is not going to happen again. That's an anomaly. But it was a great test for the coaching systems last year. Because they did. They had the coach on the fly. They had to bring in guys off the street and get them in a game plan for the game on Sunday. No training camp, no nothing. And our coaching staff was able to pull that off. So I'm not worried. The injury thing doesn't bother me at all, just because it was way worse last year. And in this case, Tampa Bay has its own fair share of injuries that they're going to have to deal with. So, but this is the NFL. So what? Deal with it. They're going to deal with it. Nobody's going to apologize if Tampa Bay wins the game. Or if we beat up Tampa Bay, they're not going to go, well, you were injured. They don't care. You become the best teams by winning games. Everybody's got injured guys. And this Brian Branch thing may be a blessing in disguise. Because they've been having these, hey, maybe we can have these guys play through these little things going on. And maybe the best thing possible is that he does take this game off and he has the bye week. That way, after the bye week, you get these guys back fully healthy. And I know it's not a popular opinion, but I think they should sit Kirby Joseph down. Sit him down for this game. Use your backups. I mean, you have to change your game plan a little bit. I think that sometimes a lot of their game plans lean on great safety play. You might have to change the game plan to protect the safeties. And I think that would just have more to do with getting pressure without blitzing. If the Lions can get pressure without blitzing, I'm not worried about the secondary. I mean, that's really what it's going to come down to, right? I think we can contain mobile quarterbacks. They did a good job against Lamar Jackson. And you look into that Kansas City game, it's not, I don't think it's as bad as what people would think. You did take them to fourth down. They had to get some high pressure plays. And you got to get off the field on those plays, those third and fourth downs. And that's the difference. But the way that they're crushing the can, and they are working some kind of, they're not just designating a spy for the mobile quarterback. They have a spy system. And, it could be everybody's responsibility. You're supposed to be looking back there. But this is a huge game. You know, the rivalry, you know, it's got some meat and potatoes on it. Dan Campbell had kind of owned Tampa Bay a little bit at the beginning, and Tampa Bay popped us in the mouth last year. But you look back, even you look back into that game, and they left a lot. They left a lot of meat on the bone. You got to be able to finish the drive, especially if you're going to be aggressive like Dan Campbell likes to be. You got to finish those drives. I was at that game that they lost, the Tampa Bay game. Hutch was all over the field. The defense was playing well. They were getting after Baker Mayfield, and that's what I think they should do this time. But offensively, they kept on. They got down in the red zone like 4 times. And, you know, when they were trying to come back at the end of the game, they had like 4 opportunities. I remember leaving that game saying, this is on the offense. Like, you get that ball down there, you gotta get points. You had opportunities to win that game. The defense just kept on giving you the ball back. So you got to take advantage of opportunities. I mean, offensively, the Lions are pretty healthy. You know, you got Dan Skipper in there filling in for Taylor Decker. He played fine last week. So, offensively, you should feel pretty good going into this game. You got playmakers all over the place. All the playmakers are healthy. You got Gibbs. You got Montgomery. Goff is healthy. The young middle of your offensive line is starting to gel. You still got Penei Sewell. Sam Laporta looks like a beast. The defense will come around. You know, get these guys healthy. You know, implement that strategy that you had last year when you had to lean on your offense. You can win games with your offense. You know, you put up 35 plus points. Put up 35 plus points. That'll take a lot of pressure off your defense. And they can do that. They can do that against anybody. When the Lions are rolling, there isn't a defense that can stop the Lions. The offense is too good when they're executing. I mean, I think one of the best shots that the Lions have in this game is to just hit the ground running and boom, boom, get those scores. Get your offense out there. Make sure that you're scoring. Getting touchdowns on every drive. Taking some chances on defense. Maybe force them into a turnover and then get out to like a 21 to 7 type of situation where you can pin your ears back. Because that changes the defense. That changes the way that they have to attack on offense. Helps with the one-dimensional thing. Because, I mean, I don't want to get into a close game with these guys. I think the Lions' style is you just go. You go, you score as many points as you can. Get into that mentality from last year because you don't got the horses on the back end of your defense. So, and I think that that's what they'll do. Because I don't want to get into a ball control with these guys. I think that that's what they're going to try to do to us. I think that they're going to try to establish long drives, and be able to control the clock. That's what Tampa Bay wants to do. But they also have a good enough defense that maybe they just think they can just stand up and go toe to toe. Their defense versus our offense. Their defense is good enough to stop our offense. See, that's the thing. Is like, I think that when the Lions' offense is running at full tilt, the offense is unstoppable. But there are defenses that are out there that can give our offense trouble, and the Tampa Bay has one of those kind of defenses. Vita Vea. I mean, they got some Jamal Dean. They got great linebackers. So Tampa Bay is the best team in the NFL, going into this game. And there's a reason why. Mark Orlando, there you go. Glasgow versus Vita might be interesting. Vita's an anchor, so it might be Glasgow and Mahogany doing a little tag team action right there. I mean, that's what it does. You don't just move Vita. He's a great anchor. I was talking about that yesterday a little bit with DJ Reader, like what they do well. They're professional. I take on two men guys. That's a skill. Like, I don't know if people really realize that, but like the way Reader plays, the way that Vita Vea plays, he's there to take on two people. I'm going to take on two of your people, whether you like it or not. I'm taking on two of your guys. I got one hand in his chest and I'm punching the other guy with this hand. I'm throwing off your offensive lineman. Offensive linemen, they want to block you out of the way and be in perfect technique and, move their body in the right ways. But there's some defenders that are out there that are really good at disrupting that. As soon as they get into your stance, they pop you on. And Vita Vea and DJ Reader are good examples of guys that take on double teams, that force you to use two guys. And that's dirty work, man. There's no stat for it. That's the shitty thing. I do use PFF, and they do grade defensive linemen, but there's really no stat that can measure that value. That you have a player that says, you got to use two. I'm going to make you use two guys on me. And that's a skill, to be able to make sure they have to use two guys on you. It isn't just an all beastly thing, too. It's something in technique. I don't play. But I do know that that's an unmeasured skill. They don't have, there's not a way really to measure it. But I mean, you can almost measure it through other players on the team. Because what that does is that means that if he's using two guys and he's guaranteed to use the two guys, well, that means Aleem McNeil might only have one. Aiden Hutchinson might actually get a one-on-one with that. That's one of the reasons that Al-Quadin Muhammad is having success. He does have a lot of sacks. Do I think that he's better than Micah Parsons? No, I don't think Alquadine. He has more sacks than Micah Parsons. But Micah Parsons is forced to take on the best player, maybe even a chip block and maybe even a third guy. Alquadine Muhammad, after they use resources on Reader and are using resources on Tyleek Williams, who are both double team type of dudes, and then you got to use resources on Aiden Hutchinson, Alquadine Muhammad has to win his one-on-ones, and he gets a lot of one-on-ones. And I promise you that if you had an elite pass rush, and I'm not saying that there's nothing wrong with Alquadine Muhammad, but if you put a high-end guy, and this is gonna on that side, like a Trey Hendrickson or whatever, and they're only putting one guy on him, you would see production on that other side because of guys like DJ Reader, because of guys like Vita Vea. It's unmeasured, but you see it in other guys. And the fact that, DJ Reader's played so well this year, look at Alquadine Muhammad's sack numbers. That should tell you. That to me is a DJ Reader effect. I love big men talk. I think that's where the whole game is won. Right. And this is what I'm talking about right here. But the thing is, here's the thing with a guy like Parsons that doesn't fit us, right? What Micah Parsons doesn't do, because he's doing the move trying to get behind the quarterback. He's essentially being what Aiden Hutchinson would be. And the other end, and our defense doesn't need that. He needs the bull rush to collapse the pocket up and around. Parsons' style is to get out and wide of the quarterback. He does win with speed, but he doesn't set the edge. Alquadine Muhammad sets the edge. He plays in the run game. That's like what I was talking about yesterday. The pass rusher opposite Hutchinson in our defense doesn't need to be opposite of Hutchinson. He needs to be on the interior. And his name is Aleem McNeil. Aleem McNeil is going to be way more beneficial to our defense from the pass rushing position. Because Alquadine, the pass rusher opposite Hutchinson, has a job first, which is to push the pocket in. It's to push the pocket in and maintain that edge. Where Micah Parsons misses on our defense is he'll push that edge right past, and a running back will run clear of that. He'll run right past the ball carrier. And there's nothing wrong with that, and if that's what your job is. Somebody is there to be behind the quarterback if you're going to crush the can. Somebody's got to do that. We have one of those. That's the way that Aiden Hutchinson wins. Alquadine Muhammad, first job is to set your edge. But we can get some of that pressure right from the interior, though. I like that interior. I think this Aleem McNeil is going to help out this defense so much. So much. Just from being able to attack with 4 people. I mean, you can go big on that. You might not even have Al-Quadin Muhammad out on some of those plays. I mean, think about just lining, Aleem, Tyleek, Reeder, and Hutchinson. How about that be your front 4? I mean, make no mistake about it. Aleem McNeil is the second best pass rusher on our team. That's what he does. That's why he got $20 million a year. You're not just, you don't pay $20 million a year to your run stuffer. So Aleem McNeil, he provides the pressure. He provides the pressure from the interior. Now, the biggest question that the Lions have is in that secondary. You got to protect that secondary. It's an interesting chess match, man. I love it. I love it. There will be no Brian Branch. He lost his appeal, which it was expected. I talked with John Macaroon on my Tuesday show, and we talked about that a little bit. And it's like, what are you going to say? What are you going to say, Brian? You're going to go in front of the appeal board and it'll be like, okay, state your case. He's going to be like, well, they were doing stuff to me. And he hit me in the back. Okay. So they hit you in the back and it wasn't called. Sorry about that, but that justifies you going over and giving you what did the 5 finger say to the face? Slap. Wha! No. Guilty. You did it. You get your game suspension. And the other point that John had made was that it's like his 13th offense. I mean, he's a repeat offender. I mean, be lucky it wasn't like a 4-game suspension because you're a repeat offender. I mean, he obviously don't care about the money too much. I mean, his whole contract's only like $1.5 million or something like that he's got left. He's been fined like $200,000. It's like I wouldn't give up a quarter of my salary for the right to slap somebody. I don't know. Maybe I would. That would be an interesting question. That's not a very Christian question, though. Would you give up a quarter of your salary or 20% of your salary if you were able to get away with slapping your coworkers that made you mad? Oh, man, that's awful. But you guys will probably answer that question. Would you? Would you give up 20% of your salary to smack the people that made you mad at your job? I don't know if that would be worth it. That's that. You gotta show the restraint, because the thing is, it's like you can fine Brian Branch all you want, and that's one spot where I will disagree with you, John Macaroon. Is I don't think they should fine him more money. Honestly, I think they should fine him less money and they should go after the team. You know, give them the old military treatment. You know, that way it's the team that's got to go after him for that. You know, I mean, if they gave him a 3-game suspension, well, then your actions aren't just hurting your pocketbook. Obviously, not everybody's motivated by money. You know, oh, you're going to take half my money? Whatever. I'm still going to slap the shit out of anybody that is doing bad stuff and bullying me. No. I mean, let it affect the team. And I'm not advocating. I mean, I don't want Brian Branch suspended longer, but if you want to fix the problem, it isn't game checks that's going to solve it. If you want to fix the problem, it's got to affect the team. Because the character should be higher up when it comes to being in a position like that, where you have a stage that's like that. It is, I mean, the football game's all in one. That's all fun. But, you know, that stage and the message that you're going to send to, you know, people that look up to you, you got to be careful with that. You don't want, you know, a junior high school kid watching that and thinking that, you know, if somebody's shoving you down in the back in the middle of the game, that, you know, like Brian Branch, I'm going to go over there and I'm going to slap that kid like Brian Branch did. Like, you don't want that to be the message. He definitely needs to show restraint. You need to be an example. Because football, when used correctly, that's like the best team sport that there is. You got to learn how to work with other people. You got to learn trust. You got to learn about staying focused and staying in your lane and doing your job. You got to you learn accountability. You learn all those great things. But character, you got to preach that character. That's all about character. But Brian, I don't care what he did to you. You got a responsibility, man. With great power comes great responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility. You know, you're on a pedestal up there because your God-given ability, man. You're young, you know, you'll get it. I have faith in you. I mean, Dan Campbell would vouch for the character. There ain't a person that's listening to this broadcast that hasn't felt like that before. Somebody disrespects you. You just want to take the back of your hand. You just need to get smacked around. Definitely felt like that. You know, and that's where my faith comes in. You know, Lord, protect me every single time I feel like that. Lord, protect me. Because every time that you don't show restraint, you know, but every time you do show restraint, that's so much more powerful. Sounds cliche, but what would Jesus do? What would Christ do in that situation? All the way to the end. So we can learn those examples in there. He knows. He knows he'll learn from it. He'll become better because of it. He will. Because the best lessons learned are the ones that burn. They are. Yeah. I mean, you can learn a lesson when you get away with something. You can, but it's not as impactful as getting burned and then learning the lesson the hard way. And yeah, they should suspend him more on it should be more of a team thing. Because that represents the team. That represents the team. The team should suffer more in that. He's got those Lions colors on. Anything that he does with that, that's representing the team. I think a one-game suspension for something like that, that's probably light. I think that he got off pretty good. He'll be back for a division matchup against the Vikings. If anything, I think that the suspension was light. That's the villain verdict on that. That might not be what you want to hear. But the thing is character means so much more than winning and losing. You got to send the message in there. And I'm glad that the suspension was upheld. That's fine. I heard that he was battling an injury, and honestly, if he won't sit down, they'll sit him down. I'd rather have a healthy Brian Branch. Get your head right, too. Don't just get healthy in your body. Get healthy in your head. And then come back and help us out in that Minnesota game. This is the Lion Villain Report. I am your host, Russell Wayne. You can join me Monday through Saturday. This is Throwback Thursday. We went back to some of those old school games. You know what I'm saying? You know? Like October 15th, 1989, where the Lions win a close one down to the wire, 17-16. Barry Sanders' rookie year, Rodney Peete, and the boys found themselves in a dogfight down 16-10. With under a minute left, Rodney Peete scrambled for 4 yards for the game-winning touchdown to steal it, 17-16. Barry added 98 yards on that game. The defense would force a last-second fumble to seal it. Old Central Division matchup. Throwback Thursday. Thank you for being part of that. Episode brought to you by Fanatics. You click that link, save up to 25% off of your order. Every click supports the channel and lets the world know that Detroit fans do it bigger, they do it better. The Villain Squad don't do knockoffs, we do official. We do Fanatics. Get yours. Ooh, yeah, the UDFA of sports podcasting. Yeah, dig it. The 313 Villain. Catch them on the Villain Report. Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. Yeah, all right. The UDFA of sports podcasting comes with a Monday night Macho Man elbow on Baker Mayfield in the middle of the ring. 1, 2, 3, brother. Yeah, dig it. Brad Holmes should have listened to me. Thank you to Johnny Gaz for doing his Tuesday night shows. We are putting together an off-season program. Not an off-season program, but a bye. We're gonna review the season and have a together show here on the bye week. But Brad Holmes should have listened to me. You should have got a pass rusher right there. You see what happened? You lost the game because you didn't listen to me. I'm not negative. I'm realistic. Shut up. Connect with me. Connect with me wherever you scroll the villain rolls. If you're a fan of Detroit sports, liking, commenting, and sharing is so helpful, and I thank you for that. We believe in faith, family, football. Faith, family, and then football, in that order. We use football. We don't let football use us. Thank you so much for being part of the show today. Leave you with the prayer. Take this with you today. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord shine his face upon you until we meet again in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. You're going to catch me tomorrow? Tomorrow morning. Freaky Friday. I don't know what we're going to call Friday. But I'll be back here tomorrow at 10 a.m. Thank you so much for being part of the program. Peace out.